Hey, good morning. I am working on some whatnot stuff today. I am preparing to do my first whatnot show here in probably about a week or two. So I'm gathering up my original art and prints this morning and basically getting my shop in order for this show. Pretty excited about it. I'm optimistic, but I'm also realistic. I know that it takes time to build an audience on whatnot. I am new there, so I don't have any huge expectations just yet. But you know, it's time to do it. It's time to start the process. So that's what I'm doing this morning. And the f- the latest item here is I'm basically just pulling stuff from my eBay store. This is a Fantastic Four page. So this was part of a pitch to Marvel back in 2004. And so I penciled and inked and colored 3 pages of a Fantastic Four, um, just a kind of a generic story to just really show my vision for this concept, which unsurprisingly is very much entrenched in the Bronze Age kind of uh, style. And then there's the color. Actually, I think I can just click it. Can I? Here we go. So now you can actually see it a little better. And then the color version also pretty simple colors. Try to keep it in line with the style I was really going for in these samples. So I'm selling the. I've long since sold the original art, but I have very high quality art prints, which look and feel almost identical to the original page. And these are all hard signed as well. So I am listing listing this over on my whatnot. It's a lot of just copying and pasting my product description. Um, I can talk a little bit about what was going on, while I was working on these pieces. Um, this one is on 11 by 17 two-ply Bristol board, and I'm trying to think. So in 2004, what was I doing? I think I was working for a web design studio in 2004, and of course, on my spare time, I was working on my portfolio, or I think I was still I think I was still producing a web comic also and doing commissions. So I did a lot of commissions in 2004, as well as working as a web designer. And um, yeah, I think I was in Lexington, Kentucky then. So very busy, very busy. And let's see, there is one. I haven't really decided whether I'm going to make these like true limited edition prints, whether I want to limit them to say five. I don't know. So I'm just going to leave it for now. I may sell a few of them. I don't really know yet. So on eBay, this one is selling for 50, and I'm going to do an auction. So the auction price, I think, um, let's start it at 35. And I haven't exactly pinned down the date yet for this Whatnot show. I'm still kind of figuring that piece out, but I think it's going to be in about 2 weeks. 1 to 2 weeks, let's just say. And let's see. I think that's it. All right, we'll publish that. What's next? Just go back to my active listings on eBay and see what I can kind of curate from there. I think I want to get all of these Fantastic Four, all three of these pages up. Yeah, 2004, I was still working on The Last Odyssey, which was a web comic, and I think I was starting the process of working on the Overman comic as well. I was probably working on the script at that time, I think, maybe in 2004, 2005. Okay. There's a way I can preview this page. I just want to make sure these downloaded images are actually high res enough. Let's just go back. Yeah, I think they're probably, I don't know, eBay kind of screws up the resolution on these. I didn't really want to have to pull them directly from my phone again, but I may have to. Anyway, these are, I kept high res scans of these pages for many years, and I'm glad I did because I've been selling a lot of stuff um, as art prints. Edition. This one we're selling for 50 on eBay. See, if you come to the Whatnot show, you're going to get some deals. I'm going to sell this one for 35 as a starting bid. So I don't expect there to be a lot of people at my first show. So if you do come, you're probably going to get some pretty good deals. And that's okay. I'm prepared. I'm prepared to take a hit until I build this thing up. All right, so that one's done. All right, let's see what else. All right, so we got the Fantastic Fours. I think we got Superman up there. We got Spider-Man. Shoot, just trying to see what I have up here. Don't have. Let's put the Batman. So this was a digital painting that I created in 2013. I think I did this in Clip Studio, and it was probably, or no, was that Photoshop? Don't think I was using Clip Studio in 2013 yet. So it was probably, yeah, probably Photoshop. But I like this one. It was kind of was trying to like channel a little bit of Bill Sienkiewicz. Comic art. There's my description. Quantity is 1. And we're selling that on eBay for 35. What a great deal that is. But for Whatnot, I am going to offer a starting price. Let's do 25 for starting price. And I am just kind of guessing. I don't really know yet, what's going to work, what isn't going to work, but it's just like everything else. It is a trial and error. So in 2013, I was working for a marketing agency as a art director, and so I think from the period of 2013 to 2015, really to 2017, um, didn't do as much comic stuff just because that particular job was very demanding and it kind of sucked the life out of me. Although I still managed to produce, you know, decent quantity of comic art in that period. It dips a little bit in that period, and I was doing a lot of digital art at that time. And so this is a good representation of me just trying to kind of experiment some. And I was painting. I was doing traditional painting too. So that was really a period where I was kind of stepping outside of comics a bit and working in other mediums, which very helpful for me as an artist. It really taught me a lot. To step outside of the comic medium and do other things is very important for an artist, comic artist. All right, so we got Batman, and what's next? I mean, I'm just going to load up my shop, my Whatnot shop, and to see what happens. I figure the more I have available, the more chances of things selling. Got a lot of prints here. Would like to get some original art added. Maybe I could actually let's do some comics. So this is Mortal Kombat issue 0 from Malibu Comics. I was one of the inkers on this book, and I'm offering the signed comic and um, a signed photocopy of the inks of one of the pages. So let's try this one out. And if you want to look up my eBay store, just go to eBay and type in Beyond Forward Art, and you will find, as of today, about I guess about 130 items, which include original art prints, signed comics. Some of it is from my time at Marvel and Image and Dark Horse and other publishers. So there's a lot of stuff, and for my own publishing label. Comic art description. Now this one was priced at 45. I'm going to take it down to 25 as a starting bid. Quantity is 1. Condition is, well, we'll call it near mint. I'm going to do a few more of these, and then I'll give you guys an update on Secret Powers, which is the comic book miniseries that I'm developing, and High Strangeness, which is a kind of a redux of my first graphic novel. I'm basically re-inking it in high resolution, so it's printable. The files I had were not really high res enough, unfortunately. So I've undergone this long project of getting the pages restored, and um, they look really nice. But I will give you a little preview of what that's looking like this week. All right, so we got a comic. I do want to get more comics on here and some original art. Don't know if I have. I think I still have quite a few original pieces available on eBay. There we go. This was a convention drawing that I created during my downtime at a show. All right, so let's save that. That was from this year, actually. So 2025, this has been a pretty good year. Um, I've done several conventions this year, which I had not done in a while, and just really hunkered down working on Secret Powers and High Strangeness. These are both books that uh, you guys will see on comic shelves probably in a year and a half. I want to say so. That's really been my focus is just working on these projects and kind of, I don't want to say laying low, but I have been really focused on working on those. Whoops. I hate it when it does that. I've got this magic mouse, I guess they call it, and man, it just like totally erased everything I did. And if you slide it over accidentally, so I have to do it over. And I use this because it really helps with preventing carpal tunnel. Um, so it has been worth that little inconvenience. All right, we're copying that again. Copy that again. So the Whatnot show it's just going to be kind of like a convention setting. It'll be in my studio, and I'm going to be working on a commission or a sketch, and I will auction that drawing off at the end of the show. But while that's happening, I'm presenting all of this art. You'll be able to see it and bid on it. Anyway, that's the plan, and I'm going to do like a couple of practice runs on Whatnot. You can do these practice shows, which I'm sure I'm going to need to do. All right, and we're auctioning that. This one is selling for 75, so I think let's just do let's start it at 45. All right. What is next? I really like that Wolverine one. In fact, the Wolverine drawing is from I started this drawing, let's just go back to it, in I think 2023 or 2022 at a show, and I never finished it. And then when I brought it home, I realized I had drawn his shoulder uh, pads or armor or whatever you call it. I had drawn them wrong because I don't think I was referencing a picture at the time. And so I just sort of left it up, as is, unfinished. And I thought, well, I'll come back to it eventually and fix it. And I just did just a few weeks ago. I redrew the armor, his shoulder armor, and corrected that. And there's like I used Avery labels, which is a pretty common correction uh, thing that you can do for fixing errors that have already been inked. So you can still see it here on the original art, but when you photocopy it, it does not show up. So anyway, that's the story behind this Wolverine. It is a little dirty. That's just from, I guess it's just been sitting, and I did not erase the pencils because my intention was to finish it, and then I think the pencils just got kind of ground in. So the original art is a little dirty. Most of my original art is very clean. I try to be very I'm very meticulous about having clean art. I don't even have whiteout. I don't use whiteout. I don't do it. I always make sure the art is very clean. But this particular piece, it's just sort of did not live up to my standards. But it's still a nice piece. I think it's a really cool drawing. So anyway, that's the story behind Wolverine. Let's see, there's an original piece. So this is a very old one. This is from 1993, and it's drawn on regular drawing paper. So it's not the thick Bristol board paper. As you can see, it has a little bit of, there's a little bit of warping, I guess you could call it, on the edges, just because it's really old. And this was just a pen and ink drawing, and I've held on to that, of course, held on to all of my work, the good and the bad and the ugly. All right, so let's list this one. So in 1993, I was working at Malibu Comics. Oh, did I not download it? In Southern California as an inker on staff, but I was sort of secretly trying to work on my penciling skills because I really was not that confident in my pencils, and with good reason. I just was did not really have the chops yet. So as I was inking at Malibu and really learning a ton of stuff there, I was trying to really become a better penciler, and this is one of those efforts, I think. All right, there's that. So I have a lot of material from that period too. And it's kind of interesting. I mean, as an artist, I don't like to go back and look at my old work. I think most artists are like that because it sort of makes me cringe when I see it. And that's because I know, like, today I would do things a lot differently. I would draw it a lot differently and better. But, it is what it is, and it does show that journey. And so I'm okay with that, and I'm okay with uh with selling it, because even though I might cringe at it, there are fans who they don't. So I guess it's okay. All right, so I'm selling this one on eBay for 45. Let's take it. Let's do 25. And I think if this were in better condition, I would be able to sell it for more. I even have on here. Please note the paper is slightly warped from aging. See pick. So, you know, no surprises. It is you get what you get with this one. All right, let's publish that. Oh, what did I do? Forgot the category. Oh, yes, I want to add condition. Yeah, let's just call it very good. Maybe I should change Wolverine's condition too. Fine. We'll call that one fine. I'm by no means an expert on grading art, but I think that's fairly accurate. This one's kind of interesting. I think I'll sell this one. So this is a Hobbit drawing from Lord of the Rings from 1998, and I think this is from a sketchbook because in '98 I was playing D&D again briefly with some old friends, and I think we played a few sessions, and I think this is one of those drawing sessions because I usually draw when I'm gaming, and I haven't really gamed in a long time. I think I started it at a session and then finished it later, if I were to guess. All right, let's create. Whoops, let's create that. Comic art category. Quantity is 1. Condition, let's just say very fine. And I'm selling this for 65. So let's do 35 for that. Now this is an art print, Godzilla. I think I'm going to include this one because it's pretty nice art print. This was a recent commission, and so I obviously sold the original art, but I printed an art print of it. I'll even do a little close up of him, and I still get commission requests for Godzilla, even though I only worked on the book at Dark Horse for I think I did 3 issues, 4 issues, but it kind of follows me around. All right, create product. I managed to get back here just in time this morning to start the 10 o'clock show. I went to the gym, which I had not gone in about a week because I went biking last week and fell, and you can see my road rash. It's healing pretty nicely now, and then I have one on my shoulder too. So my shoulder is really pretty sore from it. So I decided to take a few days off um, from the gym. But I am glad I went this morning. All right, so where's the here it is. And it was one of those things where if when you're biking, you're supposed to always look where you're riding, right? Because if you start looking let's say you're on a cliff and you start looking over the edge of that cliff while you're riding, the tendency is to move towards that cliff. And that's kind of what I did. It wasn't a cliff, but there was a ravine and like a swamp next to it, and the trail was getting pretty narrow, and I'm on it. And I think I was just starting to get tired because it was towards the end of the ride, and uh, I just looked over to the water, and sure enough, I went right. I think there was a root too that kind of turned my wheel a little bit, so that didn't help. And then I just went right over the edge of it, and I threw myself off the bike because I didn't want to fall in the water. So I kind of jumped off the bike, and my bike went down. I went down, and I went down on my shoulder, this side, and scraped. That's where I scraped myself up a little bit. So lesson learned. That's one of those things they tell you, and I've been aware of it, but then it happened, and so now that gives me kind of extra incentive to always look where you're riding. That's all. And we don't have mountains in Florida, of course, but we've got these trails are mountain biking trails, and that some of them are pretty technical and pretty challenging. And this one wasn't particularly challenging, but I think I was just getting a little tired, and I wasn't like on my A game towards the end. And that tends to be when things happen. All right, so there is the category, quantity, condition. Call that mint. And this one I'm selling for 50 on eBay. Let's take it down to 35 for the auction. And like I said, I don't expect a lot of people showing up for my first show, so if you do come, you're going to get some deals, because these I don't imagine these auctions really going anywhere other than maybe the first bid. So it's definitely a good time to come to the show. Let's do 12 to 15 because it's a pretty big. This is a giant 13 by 19. So I did the original in studio. Somebody at the Tampa Bay Comic Con um, commissioned the piece, and then I did the work at home and decided to do like a larger scale commission. I do like I like working in the 13 by 19 just because it gives me a little more breathing room and space to add detail, and but it does take a little longer. All right, so there's oh, why does it say error? Uh, Hopefully I don't have to redo it. Nope. All right, it's there. All right, I want to try to find some more original art. I don't have too many prints in here. This is pretty interesting. So this is a sketch from 1998 of the Overman from Image, and of course this was about 10 years before the book really became a thing and was published through Image. But I'd been working on it here and there for many years. So I think this would be a good one, I think. All right. So The Overman is a book that I started writing when I was in art school, in 1988. So it's been with me for a long time. And my friend Shane White, who I went to art school with, we were friends in art school, and we started collaborating on this idea. And he, of course, is a comic book artist. Um, and but we were both, before we had broken into comics, and we're really just trying to put something together, and neither of us really were very good at the time. I was 18 or 19, but the ambition was there, and so we developed this thing, and uh, it just of course went nowhere. But we produced a few pages, and I wrote a few scripts, and but it was something that just always sort of stayed with us over the years. And then years later, we're both working professionals in comics, and we kind of were at a place, skill level, where we felt we could really reapproach it and do it right, and we did. And that was when Image picked it up. But I have a lot of art from the very early days. um, so this one I'm selling for 50. let's do let's do 25 for an auction, starting bid. Tomorrow in the live stream, I hope to have the schedule in place for the live stream, so I'll be able to share that date with you tomorrow. I just haven't really pinned it down yet. All right. What's next? I think I'm going to list maybe one or two more this morning. So this is an interesting one. These are 6 pages that I inked, and I do not know who the penciler was. And I can't seem to track down who it was, but it was for basically this scam artist named Rick Olney, who hired a bunch of pretty well known comic book creators and really just hoodwinked everybody, myself included. And he didn't have a two pennies to rub together, but he had convinced everybody that he had deep pockets, deep connections. This was going to be a big publishing effort, big names, and I got reeled in, just like several others. And it was a mess, because it wasn't long before people started to realize this guy was a lunatic, straight up lunatic. And um, yeah, so nobody got paid, and this is what I'm left with. I have these 3, 4, 5. I have these 6 pages that I have no idea. I don't know who penciled them. They're good, they're really good, but I have them, so I'm going to sell them. So I'm just going to download all these and sell them as a lot. Yeah, that was just crazy. And he got on all these forums and was bashing the creators and threatening people, like real threats, you know. And so there was a big bandwagon of other creators that jumped on and really defended me and others, people like Mark Wade, who he actually contributed to several artists' legal defense, mine included. And um, I sued him. I sued this Olney character, and of course didn't get a dime. But um, yeah, it was just a bad situation. I actually didn't. there are other artists who really got screwed. You know, my work was sort of minimal. I was developing a website for him too, I think, actually. So there was some work that I did on that end, and he completely hosed me. And that's like the only time I think in my career where I really stepped in it, and it was just this terrible situation. It happens to a lot of creators. One, did I get them all? One, two, three, four. Oh, I only got three. Two. All right, I guess I didn't download them all. Let's go back. Yeah, and he died like, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago from like a heart attack or something. I don't know. I don't know what happened to him, but yeah, just a real piece of shit. I'm just gonna say it. The guy was, and he was like scamming models. Like he had some model convinced, that she was going to be hired to work the convention, and he was trying to like coerce her into staying with him. Just creepy stuff. And this was all things that we learned about later, of course. Had I known at the time, I would not have been a million miles around this guy. But yeah, it was crazy. You can probably look him up, in fact. If you he's probably the story is there on the internet, I'm sure, somewhere. 6. All right, let's just put all these up here. This is the last one I'm going to do, at least today. um, it is comics. Yeah, I have Penciler Unknown in my listing. Really stinks. I can't at least give the penciler credit. I just don't know. I don't know who he was. It's been so long. I wouldn't know where to start looking. Yeah, this was 2006. I guess I'm not sure what that means. I guess one quantity, even though it's a lot. I'll just put very fine. We'll do an auction. I'm selling this for 150 on eBay. Let's make it, let's make it for, let's do 90. 90 as a starting bid. I'm gonna put 1 pound because it's 6 pages. All right. So right now I have one, two. Let's see. Does not. I have 25 items in my Whatnot shop. And if you're on Whatnot, you can look me up under Beyond Forward Art. And this will be my very first Whatnot show. And I think I might wait till next week, maybe next Friday or something. I will have the date for tomorrow's live stream, and I'll share that with you guys. So in the meantime, I'm going to share with you my work in progress. I just got to close it out on my iPad. on Secret Powers. Pretty excited about this because I'm wrapping up the second issue and don't know if it's going to sync up just yet. May not. It's really aggravating when it doesn't sync. There's the cover for issue 2. I think I shared that earlier this week, which I'm pretty pleased with. All right, so I'm working on, so each issue has a double page spread at the beginning, and the first two panels are this character, Bert Colt, who is this artist who basically the government disappeared, and he is the victim of this big conspiracy cover up where he was poisoned by this paper that was used by the publisher he worked for, and the paper was kind of like radioactive, and it killed a bunch of people who came into contact with it. He survived, but he's like horribly disfigured. And so each chapter is his view of from his point of view, draw inking this page, which is the page next to it. And in each chapter, he's less um, he's less burned and disfigured, and it's supposed to basically convey that he's healing, and it's sort of this subtle symbolic thing that happens throughout the book. So anyway, it's tricky because I have to now compare each of these chapters and try to show this progression of his condition in a consistent way. So where the last chapter, his hand looks perfectly fine, and I when I thought about it, I thought, oh, that's cool. I'm just going to do it. But then now that I'm actually doing it, I've realized, okay, this is a little challenging. I have to actually layer each of these on top of each other and do this kind of comparison shot to make sure that they are consistently, progressing. So anyway, it's kind of the last thing of issue 2, and I decided, well, I need to just deal with all of them and get this part done for the entire book. And so that's really what I've been working on this week, slowly. Haven't had a lot of time to focus on it, but that's my goal, is to have this this piece done, and then I can move into lettering, uh, which is over here. So these are all the lettering that's done. I just have to fine tune that. And then the other thing I'll share with you is the high strangeness update. And um, actually, I'll go ahead and do the side by side comparison for that, because this, by the way, is a Rubbermaid ad I'm doing for a client, in case you're wondering why that keeps popping up. Um, where is it? Let's go to high strangeness. Where is it? There it is. Okay, there's 56. It'll tell me it's not syncing. Really wanted to show you guys the updated page, the latest page, but yeah, there's 57, but it's not, I can't click it. Sometimes if I save it to my iCloud, it will show up. So I'm just gonna quickly save. Save it over there. maybe it will show up in my folder. I have a folder created in there just specifically for this sort of problem. Let's see if it's there. It is. All right, so there's the latest re-inked page from High Strangeness, which is going to be retitled, by the way. I'm going to be changing the title because Oni Press has published a 5-issue miniseries called High Strangeness, and I can't do much about it because my High Strangeness has been out of print for a number of years, and so I can't. It's not like it's not a property that I have in circulation or in print. But I think that's going to be okay because High Strangeness is overused. That there's a lot of books called High Strangeness. It's just a very popular name to use for a story, apparently. Um, so I look at it as an opportunity. The same thing happened with Saga of the Doomed Universe because when I started developing that book, it was going to be called Saga, and then Image came out with Saga, and so I was like, oh, okay, all right, I got to rethink this. And so what I came up with ultimately, I love Saga of a Doomed Universe. I love the name. I think it resonates, and it you know it's engaging, and it's thought provoking, and it makes you wonder, okay, what is this really about? So I'm very happy with that circumstance, and so I'm confident that I will be able to come up with something that's really intriguing for this book. I'm just going to do a little before and after shot, which I usually share on my Patreon page. So I'm going to just put that together here real quickly. And my original files. Where's that? 57. So this was the original, which I did not have really high res scans of, and that's what prompted me to start this project. So most of the time, I'm not doing significant redraws, but I did for this just because this figure seemed pretty weak. And this is a book that I drew when I was 26, 27, 28. So I was not not really where I wanted to be yet as an artist, and I feel like this is an opportunity to make some improvements here and there. So that's what I did with this page. This happened to be a pretty significant redraw. Most of the pages are not, but as you can see, I redrew this figure, and I think that's really about it. And of course, there's gray tone shading in the new edition, which is something I wanted to do years ago when I was first working on the book. I wanted to have a gray tone, but I didn't really have the skill level to do it, to be honest, at the time. And it was just one of those things where I just didn't do it, but I wanted to. Now I can do it, and so that's why I've decided to add this kind of simple gray tone shading to the book. So let's just save that. And I'll just save it to my downloads as a before after. And that's that. So I think that's it for me for this morning. Thanks everybody for hanging out, for viewing my live stream. Hopefully this is you know, entertaining or informative in some way. I do the live streams Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time, give or take a day or two when I may have some other appointment or something going on. But generally, that's my goal. I multi-stream to Twitch, Instagram, and Facebook. Or I'm sorry, not Facebook, YouTube. Facebook, hopefully in the future, but right now it's Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch. So you can always find me in either of those places. As I mentioned, I also have a Patreon page that I update every week with new art, works in progress, process shots of books like this. I offer digital comics that are exclusive to Patreon members, posters, custom sketches. A lot of pretty cool rewards if you're interested in joining. You can actually join for free, and then to become a member, there's 4 tiers to choose from. So hope to see you there. Hope to see you one of the other places and here, of course. If you haven't subscribed yet, I hope you will. And that's all. So have an awesome day. Hope to see you back here soon. And I will have an update on my Whatnot show tomorrow. So I hope to see you back here. Take care.